Hello, Grandmasters. Mike from the WCA. We're going to be taking a look at a classic position, one that you guys all must know. It's basically the queen that you have. So in this case, you're white. Hopefully you can see my mouse cursor. The queen on A8, which you already have. This was a pawn that made its way up the board, and you'll see the black pawn is on its way down. So you're playing white right now. So you may ask, like, why is this king all the way on your side of the board? This is actually the square the white king started on. But this happens in the end game when you try to race to the other side to make queens. So you have to know what to do if you're the first one to queen and your opponent does not. So this position is in the workout section, which I will explain how to get to when I write it in the blog. Once you get here, you look for the queen versus the passed pawn, what this is here. And what you want to do now is you have to make this king land on this square. Because if you can force this king to land in front of the pawn, then you have time to move your king up. And if you can imagine getting your king closer and closer and closer and closer, and then at the right moment, your queen takes this pawn with the king helping, then you have a pretty simple checkmate to follow, right? Okay, that makes sense. The problem is your king is so far away, and any time you give black a chance, black is simply going to queen that pawn, and the game will most likely end in a draw. So the trick is we're going to get our queen into a position like this. Now, I'm going to leave her there. I want you to look at the three pieces. I want you to look at the white queen, this black pawn, and the black king. Can you see the letter V or the less than sign? If the queen were over here and the king was here, then you would have the greater than sign. The V would look like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot for that magic V, and I'm going to show you what happens once you get it. It's our move. Very simple rule to follow. When the king and the pawn are together, you see how they're on adjacent files or they're connected? You attack the king as close as you can with the queen. For example, here. It's check. So obviously they can't queen until they get out of check. Now I'm playing live against the computer. You see how the king's separated? Now what you do when the king and pawn are separated is you attack the pawn from as close as you can. If they queen, you just take it. So now the king is going to reconnect to this pawn, and then what's the rule? King and pawn are connected. Attack with the queen straight on from the file. And look at that. There's the V I was talking about. He has to protect his pawn. That gives us time to move our king up. And guess what? Just repeat this until you win the pawn. It's actually a very important position to know. King and pawn are together. What do? Attack from the file. Not here, because you'll lose your queen. So where do you go? Here. Wait for him to separate, or go underneath the pawn, either way. He's separated, so what do? We attack the pawn. This happens to be check, but that's not my main reason for being here. It's because I want to attack the undefended pawn. He connected. Do you guys know what to do? Now there's the greater than sign. Look at that. You see that? Okay, looks good. Wait for him to move. He's probably going to protect his pawn. You have time to bring your king in. You see, we started here, way up in the corner, and now we're already on F6. Okay, king and pawn are together. Attack the king. Wait for him to decide what to do. If he separates, we're going to attack the pawn. Oh, look at that. He did us a favor. He went to the queening square without us helping. So I guess we can just bring the king down and closer. Black has to move the king somewhere on this line. King and pawn are together. Attack the king. Wait for him to move. I'm going to test you guys on Sunday. You better know this. Right, Josh? If you don't know it, everybody asks, Mr. A, who's the real Josh? Because we have more than one Josh at the WCA. Maybe it's not even a WCA student. It could be someone from another school. Or maybe I'm just completely making this up. Okay, I've been talking, I've been playing, so hopefully you're following along. Attack the pawn. Make the king connect. You should get a chance to make your magic V. Oh, now, okay, so the king, the computer's giving up. He basically knows that I can finish this position, so I'm just going to take the queen and then do a queen and king checkmate. I was hoping it would play it all the way out to the end. It didn't. It probably will if you guys do it. Now, boy, I'm under a lot of pressure. I hope I can do a queen and king checkmate. Be really embarrassing if I don't. I like to just use the knight's distance. This is what my hero is helping the kids with, and Eric. Just put the queen a knight's hop away from the king and keep copying that pattern until the king touches the frame. Pretty easy, right? So this is one sample of what you can do on chesskid.com, which I love. These workouts are terrific. Do them all. The ones that I'm showing in class, I'm going to go a little further than the website does. That's why I'm using this one. So here's a cool move. When the king is in the corner, he's actually on 2 frames. So you could play a cutoff move here, here, or here. They're all good. Do not put the queen here, because if you let go of that mouse, Mr. A, stalemate. And you also don't want to put the queen on a square like this, right? Okay, so let's say I choose this guy. And now it's just a question of bringing the king up and checkmate on the next move, right? There you go. Okay, guys, watch the video to get a feel and then get online and do this, okay? I'll see you birds on Sunday.